Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today we have the entire Star Wars Shatterpoint core set built, and I wanted to do a little bit of a closer look at some of the terrain and the miniatures, give you guys size comparisons to similar games. Also, just look a little deeper at some of the detail once everything was assembled. Some people have asked for measurements of like bases and some of the heights of characters and all of that. So I thought this would be a good time to just kind of break everything down now that it's fully built. So if you like what you see here, make sure you stick around, subscribe. We have that big giveaway going on for a Star Wars Shatterpoint core set. If you want to have a chance to enter to win that, you just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. That is running until the beginning of June. And if you want more information on Shatterpoint, like the full rules or the build diagrams that are also going to give you more of this information, there's going to be a link down in the video description below. That's a link that Atomic Mass Games uses to see how many people are actually being helped by my videos and checking them out. So definitely check that out and lets them know that I'm doing a good job. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, so we've got a lot of terrain that comes in the core set, and I want to talk about some of the really cool bits of the terrain. First off, we're going to look at some of the buildings. Now, this particular building is a really nice one. It's got a lot of room for characters to walk on. It's got a little bit of line of sight blocking. Takes up a lot of area. Now, as far as the heights for all of these buildings, this one is about 3.5 inches tall to the main walking part, and it's about 5.5 inches tall to its tallest point right there. So, you know, three inches is basically what kind of constitutes being, you know, basically a second level of height here. So, so this is, you know, a little bit more than that. Your range 2 is your 3 inches. Now that's also going to be about the same length as the ladders. There are a lot of ladders here. These offer ingress and egress points on how you can get onto higher terrain. If your character ends its movement at a ladder, all of a sudden they can then move up automatically. And so, so ladders are going to be really important for that. You get a lot of ladders. Some of these, you're actually going to put those together. You can, these go together quite nicely. If you want to glue these together, they're nice and flat and they match up perfectly. And that's going to factor into some of these double high pieces here as well. Now, these are awfully nice for a number of reasons. For one, they offer multiple heights. So you can have somebody on the high ground and then also the very, very high ground. But they also have a double ladder that goes up on those. And now this is permanently affixed. Of course, you can opt not to do this. You can glue the ladders on anywhere if you want. I'll probably glue a few of them on. But for right now, I'm keeping them separate so I can mix and match and figure out through the course of playing multiple games where I really want to keep these ladders. But at least for this, now you're going to have 2 of these pieces in here. And I'm going to come back to these in more detail once we get through all of them, because I want to show you guys some really cool bits about these as well. Now, and these are all hollow underneath, so you can always put things in here. You've got all of your crates. We already built one of these in the How to Build Miniatures video. You've got a lot of these, and you can stack these up. You can glue them together if you want to make like one more bigger, larger piece of cohesive terrain. I know AMG has recommended people maybe consider basing these, putting these on one cohesive base. There are a couple of extra bases in the core set as well, so you could possibly do something like that, but you might want something a little bit bigger. So depending on if you want to use a piece of cardboard or styrofoam board or something like that, and kind of build your own terrain pieces, you can do a lot with these. But in the meantime, you can just stack like 3 of them and build a little piece. But you can also, if you're storing and transporting things, you can kind of put those in here to kind of keep them out of the way. We also have your little debris with your Tuka cat, and of course he is gorgeous as well. But now this is another building, you know, a lot of line of sight blocking terrain in here, and but you also have some little variations on this one. Now they give you two pieces that that you built that you can put on here. One is this one right here. It has this roundish part that can go over top of that, and that can be a little console on here if you would like to put it on there. You could glue this in or magnetize it or just set it on there. Or there is also this radar dish. Now I like using the radar dish instead. And then, of course, that turns this into maybe a little comms building, which I like that. But then it also enables me to take this piece and just set this on the ground right next to it as maybe just a little station next to a couple of crates. And now I've got just a whole extra piece of terrain that looks a little bit better being a computer terminal on the ground. So that's that. Now we also have gantries. Now the gantries are kind of interesting. They are built in 3 different pieces. So you've got this is one piece here, this is one piece here, and the middle piece is a whole separate piece, and you glue these together, and you can do a lot of interesting things with them. Now this one is just the 3 pieces glued together without any of the extra frills. You can glue more pieces together. So this one is an extra one. So this is the edge, a piece, another piece, and then another edge. This one is a 4-part. Boom, 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 boom. And then I've also added some of the railings on here. Now so what I did is I built 2 2s, and you have enough to build 4 gantries. This one I put the rails on. This one I don't have the rails on. So you have some options. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of these little ramps. So you can do quite a bit with them. And then I built a longer one that is one. How many of these is there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this 5? This is a much bigger, a longer gantry that I've built here. And now you only get 4 legs in here. So this one I built. I decided to put all 4 of the legs on here. They do kind of cite some examples on how you could do this. You could possibly do 2 of them with just like 2 legs in the middle, but I didn't feel like it would stand up if I did that. So I built one really long one with all of the different legs on it, and the other ones aren't going to have the legs. Now, I said I was going to come back to the other pieces of terrain because I want to show you how cool these are, because these gantries kind of come down and they have like this little lip on them right here, right? This little lip right here. And what this does is this clips in to all of the other terrain, and it just kind of rests it right there, and it's kind of secures it. It's a little lip that kind of guides into these grooves here and just makes it sit nice and sturdy and comfortably, to where it's, I mean, you could glue it this way if you wanted to, but I don't recommend doing that because it allows, if you don't, then you're going to be able to configure all of these pieces of terrain just in the core set to look very, very differently. So I want to show you some real quick examples on how you could do that. I can put this piece to this piece right here, and then that's, boom, that's locked in. And then I can take, I can even go from gantry to gantry, because I can go like, just like that. I can go from there to right here, and then lock, whoa, there we go, got it locked in just like that. And then of course this piece can go onto this piece. I can do a lot of different things with it, and I can even go higher with this double high terrain because it has the grooves here and also on the top piece, so I can even put a little gantry very high. Is that even out of shot? There we go. Let me show you a little bit better angle on that one. So you can see I can have my people on the ground level, I can have them on this level, and I can have them all the way up here. And so we can have lots of different elevation levels. And so it just allows you to reconfigure and do a whole lot of different things. And then of course we can put our ladders all over the place and do that. So a lot of different ways to build out this terrain. It's an exceptional amount of terrain, especially for a 3x3 playing board that's in the core set, and I wanted to highlight that a little bit. As far as the height of the taller pieces, this one is going to come up to about 7 inches tall on the top, and then the antenna is going to be about 10 inches. So the tops of these little antenna bits right here will be a total of 10 inches tall. But let's look at each of the models and see them a little bit closer and some of their more detail. All right, so I want to start out looking at Ahsoka and Ventress. One thing that's really cool about Ahsoka, you can see here, is that she actually has her face details, her tattoos and stuff are sculpted on her Leiku. The lines are in there. You're not going to have to freehand a lot of that detail like you might have been thinking. So that's a really nice feature. Tons of detail in this character. Another thing about these is that these are realistic proportions. You can look at Asajj here and see that she doesn't have that comically sized head. It's one of the things that Legion kind of featured over exaggerated proportions on some of the models, and Asajj does not have that. Well, none of these characters have the comic proportions. These are more realistic proportions. As far as their heights, these characters are about 2 inches tall. Ahsoka's a little shorter. She's a little younger here, and she's a little under 2 inches. As far as her head, she's about 1 3/4 or so. But the other characters, Asajj is a little closer to 2, just under 2 right there. So that's pretty cool. We're gonna look at a couple more. All right, so now we're looking at some of our Mandalorian super commandos here. Now some of these guys are gonna be a little taller, but we're also getting a tremendous amount of detail. Mandalorian armor is actually really fun to paint, but because these are gonna be in some different poses with like the crouching and then the jumping, I thought I'd give you guys height for these as well. So our Mandalorian super commando here is going to be over 2 inches. So we're looking at, we're like 2 1/4, a little over 2 1/4. Gar Saxon here is going to be a little over 2 1/4, 2 and an extra 16th right there. Now the base is behind him, but that's about the best that I can do right there. So he's going to be a little bit taller, and then of course you have our shorty here, who is just about an inch. Just under an 1 1/4, because she's down and crouching. Gar Saxon, really great detail, especially the head sculpt right there. Really nice looking. I'm loving it. I did not put his helmet on. I decided, one of the cool things that I did for all of the characters, I primed the helmets separately. Because I do want to keep the helmets painted. I might put them on the base once the base is done. So we're going to have some fun with those. All right, we've got Rex and some of the 501st. Now, granted, these are pretty typical clone troopers, so you could, before they even have any paint on them, you might just assume that these are any kind of clones, as all of the paint markings don't usually kind of jump out too much. Rex does have a lot of distinctiveness in his armor, though, and is pretty cool looking. I love the flowing bits of the cloth material as well. So he looks really cool. One of the things I'm going to do differently here too is also give you guys some comparisons to Legion. We've got a couple of clones here, so I'm going to do like side by side. Well, you're actually kind of closer to this guy here, so let's do that. Let's do that side by side, so you can get a good kind of a good comparison of clone versus clone. Obviously a little bit taller there. We'll do Rex to Rex. Obvious, and one of the things is too, the Legion base is about an extra millimeter taller than the Shatterpoint base, although the Shatterpoint base is a lot wider. We'll go over all the base measurements at the end of the video as well. So yeah, definitely taller, but not that much. Actually, Rex is kind of close, isn't he? The other clones, maybe it's because his legs are so bent here, and the other Rex is standing up more straight. We're 1 3/4 on the Legion guy, and Rex is almost about the same. Wow. Okay, but yeah, he is also a little bit bent there, whereas this clone is more of a difference. And again, it probably has a little bit to do with the pose. Here we're about close to 1 7/8, and here we're just over 1 1/2. So that's something to think about. Here, this guy's standing up a little bit straighter, I guess. There we go. Standing up a little bit more straight. All right, so now next up we've got Bo-Katan and the Clan Wren Mandalorians. Bo has got quite the action pose, and she is again unmasked, as I've kind of done all of the hero characters without their masks, and then the Clan Wren Mandos. Honestly, one of the cool things is that you do have some markings on the mask there, so it's going to help guide a lot of the paint. You have, let me see if I can find her helmet. Here it is. Right there, you've got the markings on the helmet too. So you have a lot of stuff to help guide with some of that more difficult paint stuff, which is a very, very cool thing. Let's find the heights. There, yeah, she's gonna be a little over 2 inches. Whereas he's going to be at about just over 1 3/4. And then Bo Oh, she's maybe our tallest one yet. What, almost 2 1/4? There you go. All right, we've got our Super Commando Kalani here, and the interesting thing about this one with the B1s is that both units of B1s are the same. A little Kalani comparison here. Definitely a lot more detail on the chest here. A little bit larger, not very much larger, but a lot more detail, a lot more sculpted on detail, not requiring you to do quite as much painting yourself. But the B1s are pretty much identical. You have basically 3 different models. You have a crouching and 2 standing options. The 2 standing options are almost exactly the same. There's very, very, very subtle differences with them. These were actually maybe the hardest ones to put together because the legs are so thin. Maybe it's because of my really big hands too. But getting them to stand while also letting them dry, trying to make sure that the feet were flat and having the legs kind of, because, a lot of the other characters, the leg joints go in really smooth. When these guys, they're on a very, very tiny point. So as they're drying, they could easily kind of fade off differently a little bit. So they, they had to hold these guys in place a little bit longer. And I also have a regular B1 from Legion right next to them. So there you go, kind of a little bit of size comparison. All right, and then last up is Maul and Anakin. These are both, really spectacular. Let's point out one thing with Maul: the face sculpts are all there. It's gonna be a lot easier for people. You've even got the chest tattoos right there. The chest tattoos are all part of him. So you're getting a lot of detail on this dude. Anakin looks awesome. He's got his scar there on his face too, which is kind of cool. You can do an awful lot with him. He's groovy. He is groovy. We're gonna do some size comparisons here. Anakin versus Anakin on Legion. It's a bigger difference. I think one of the reasons is the Anakin Legion pose is crouched a little bit more. Although there are similar poses, but yeah, this is both trying to be very dynamic. But yeah, he's bending at the knee more so than here, and so I think that is part of it. Maul, the Maul is going to be very different because my Maul has lightsaber nunchucks for Legion, so it's not the same thing at all. But yeah, again, huge size difference. This Maul is crouched a lot low. He's in nunchuck position. And then this Maul is standing up a little bit straighter. Plus, he's got mechanical legs, so it's physically like half of the model is totally different, right? But much, much bigger right here when we look at Maul. Oh, he just got him right in the eye with the lightsaber. All right. So as for the bases, they are here about just an inch and a half, or just over an inch and a half, I guess. It's an inch and 9/16 exactly. Well, no, maybe not, because my thing came out a little bit. I have about a 1/16 of an inch give on here, so an inch and 5/8, I guess, is maybe a little closer. Yeah, about an inch and 5/8 on here. As far as their width, gosh, they're very, very little, right? 3/16, maybe. Yeah, about 3/16 of an inch. Now that's the standard bases that just about every character is. The B1s are bigger, so when you have multiple minis, you're going to be getting a larger base. Now this one is 2 inches. Well, actually, just under 2 inches, isn't it? No. But just about exactly 2 inches, 2-inch diameter for the larger one. So there you go. Those are your base widths. All right, guys, this has been a quick look at all of the miniatures and terrain pieces in the Star Wars Shatterpoint core set. If you like what you see here, be sure to stick around for more. We're going to have plenty more coming. If you want more information, you can check out some of my other videos. Also, click the link in the description below to find out more about Atomic Mass Games' Star Wars Shatterpoint. I will talk to you guys later. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons as well. You guys are amazing and help keep this channel going, so thank you for your continued support. We'll talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. So say we all, the spice must flow in cowabunga.